What's up, everyone? How you all doing? Welcome to the stream. Can you all hear me? Can anyone hear me? Sound check. Can you hear me?
Okay,
for your business to succeed, you need to make connections.
I can help you all if you just follow me.
And making connections is easy with SurveyMonkey. Spot trends and influence your whole.
I don't want that. Not yet. Wonderful. Fantastic. Says I'm live. Okay, cool. Welcome, everyone. Sorry about the sound issue. Fantastic. Let me say hello to everyone. Well, before we do that, I see our guest is here. So let me get started. Okay, here we go. Hopefully I do this better this time. In the past, Paul Revere was under instructions to warn us, one, if by land, two, if by sea. But that is history. Now we need to know more and move on. Now we have to think about three, if by air, and four, if by internet. The British are coming. The British are coming. Welcome, Ian.
Hey there, Tiger Stacker.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Sorry about the delay. Had a banking issue, which I had to sort out urgently.
So you're telling me you got held up at the bank?
Yeah, I got a client who had the product delivered, and they were trying to pull the ACH back. And I was just making sure they couldn't until they returned the product.
Well, you didn't catch the joke. Instead of the bank getting held up, you got held up at the bank?
Yeah, you wouldn't live very long in Jackson, Wyoming if you hold a bank up. No.
I bet you. I bet you they're Second Amendment right activists.
It is the last of the Wild West, as the sign at the top of the pass says. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it says?
It says, welcome to the last of the Wild West. Yeah. I'll send you a picture next time I'm going over the top of the pass.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let me welcome everyone into the chat here. I had a little bit of sound delay getting started, so you came in shortly after it got corrected. Hello, Amy Harrell, Frostbite, Great Scott, Niels Han Dynasty, Jackalope Herdmaster, Michael Stacking, Coin Dude, Check Sacker, Storica, I hope I said that right. Anyone else I missed? Joseph Lopez. And I think I saw Long Live Coins in there. There he is. Silver and Cigars, welcome. And I think I got everyone. If I did, forgive me. Anna, I'm crazy, welcome. So now I've said hello to everyone. I wanted to go ahead and reintroduce our guest, Ian Everard from Ark Silver Gold Osmium. Did I get it in the correct order?
You did. Yeah. I think that's the order one needs to stack in.
Okay. Silver, gold, and well, that actually makes sense. Now that you said it that way, I have a better chance of remembering it.
Maybe when silver's too expensive, we'll become Ark Copper Silver Gold Osmium.
Yeah, is that the truth? You know, copper's holding its own. I'm hearing. I don't know if that's true, but I listen to a lot of people who are big copper nuts, and I hear them saying that copper is holding its own.
Yeah, we'd not. What I understand, has not been many major discoveries, so it doesn't. I got a little 1 ounce copper bar. It doesn't look anything special, does it, on its own? Just a lump of tarnished copper. But I remember growing up, always been fascinated with copper. When my dad was doing electrical house wiring, I'd collect up all of the offcuts and I'd curl them into like a figure of 8 and twist them and make copper chains. So I've always been fascinated with copper.
Oh, wonderful. So the only copper I really was big into was, the pennies. Well, we call them cents. I keep forgetting that's a
No, you call your cents pennies as well.
Well, that's not the official term. Official term is cents.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm tempted to tease you. Oh my goodness. As many times as you tease me, we Brits love to tease us Americans.
You're easy.
We all are. Yes, we are. Yes, we all are.
Especially if you start talking religion and politics. Yeah.
Well, I remember, and you probably remember this comedian better than I do. He would follow Benny Hill on television back in Pennsylvania when I was a boy. Is a British comedian, smoked a lot, was missing a finger.
So, Dave Allen. Yeah.
Yes, Dave Allen. He told a lot of religious jokes. Oh my goodness. His favorite ones were ones about nuns. So constantly saying something about religion, especially the Catholics and especially the nuns. I always have trouble remembering his name. But I remember him making some religious jokes and missing a finger. So I guess he ticked off one too many nuns. Maybe they bit it off.
Probably the Catholic Church caught up with him and took a thing. That was a warning slice.
So let me get on with a couple things here. What's going on with osmium?
Yeah, the price is rising. It seems to be getting more and more interest. The Osmium Institute in Germany is doing pretty well. Their new showroom and headquarters. Looks like we'll be supplying them with the silver domino set, so they can have a set in Germany as well. So that's exciting. I look forward to producing many more sets.
Okay. I'm looking forward to a little bit too. I bought my first set. It's still sitting there. It's for the wife's earrings. And she may be lurking in the chat.
I can't see the chat for some reason. When I click on comments, it doesn't show up today.
Yeah, that's happened to me this time and last time with you. I don't know why.
So I'm not ignoring anybody. So I've got to rely on you, Tiger, to refer to any comments you find interesting.
Are you in StreamYard or YouTube?
StreamYard.
If you open up another window on YouTube, you'll be able to see the comments.
Oh, okay. That's probably too technical for me to try and do that all at once without getting feedback.
So, I just tend to make little tiny windows. I need to update the app. Frostbite says I need to update the app. Sounds like we're going to have another coffee and computer session, Frosty. Thank you for helping me in advance. Who's getting the Starbucks this time, Frosty? You or me? But basically, I guess there's such a thing as updating the app to get all the features back. So anyway, let me see here. Hey, Joseph. So osmium's going up. I got in a little bit for the wife's earrings, just a little bit before the increase.
You did, yeah.
And when I get the next big paycheck, we're going to go for her matching necklace. I hope that's still sitting there with my name on it.
We have 2 spare at the moment, yeah.
Okay. Put my name on one of them. I get paid. What's today? The 10th, 9th?
9th today.
Okay, I get paid on the 15th. I'll make arrangements for you to get payment here in a little bit.
So you get paid in the zoo? It's been a zoo exhibit?
Yeah, they pay me a little bit more than just antelopes and
I'm going to say dead sheep and goats.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? You know, there's another way that we can possibly get payment handled in a more timely fashion. We can have you bill long-lived coins. Just don't tell him I said so, okay?
Oh, but he's an accountant by trade, so I think you'll notice.
Yeah, but I don't think he pays attention. Have you ever seen his spinning bins? There's always someone coming in there wearing this really goofy hat, playing his records, and Long Live never catches them. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying. So what's going on with gold?
It's holding around the 2,500, isn't it? It didn't fall back that much. Silver's gaining, platinum's doing a bit better. So yeah, it seems like we're in sort of a holding pattern, ready for the next move. That's what it seems like.
Long Live Coin says, "Quit charging me for everything." How come he catches me, but he never catches that guy in the hat? So, but no, it's gold is maintaining. I was a little shocked. I expected it to go up or down one way or the other with all the world issues, the political upheavals, the border issues, the wars going everywhere, the upcoming debate that's going to happen. I just expected it to be a way more volatile than what it has been. And what's going on with silver?
Yeah, holding around 28.40. I last checked up. So not that much change. We had I think it was a 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. Eastern little smackdown to 27.74. I think they started doing that because most people are asleep. So unless you set an automatic buy, it's hard for people to get in on those little pullbacks.
Yeah, well, you probably are up on that because I pay attention to the spot price, but instead of buying the dips, I kind of do a weird form of dollar cost averaging. I buy when I'm not working. So there's not been a whole lot except for online things. So how's business been coming?
We were really busy last week and weekend. Yeah, it was pretty well flat out.
More selling or more buying?
We do very few of our clients sell. So yeah, us selling, very, very few buybacks.
Okay. I just kind of figured it would go a little bit both ways with you.
No, I mean, maybe it's just the clientele we've built up. People who are considering this as a long-term hold. We do have a lot of clients who are buying silver to leave wealth to their grandchildren. They want to skip the children because they know they'll just blow it on useless stuff. And so they see precious metals bought and held and they're going to leave it to their grandchildren if the children don't find it. Yeah.
I've been thinking about the same thing for a little bit different reason. My son is still not letting us see our grandchildren, so I'm just not going to let him have anything. And the two grandchildren, they get it if my wife doesn't survive me, but it's going to go into an account for when they turn 30. That way they'll be old enough, hopefully, to be smart enough not to blow it on silly things.
I think that's about 42 for the average male, isn't it? To be smart enough not to blow it on silly things.
What would you say? It's 30 for the average British male and 42 for the average American male?
No, I think generally. I think back. What did I know when I was 42 years old?
Oh, there's a lot of truth to that. Hey, John Jacobs. Oh, John Jacobs brought up. He says 19 likes, 25 watching. Thank you, John. If we get up to 50 likes, I'll go ahead and spin the wheel for 50 cents of constitutional. But here's the situation with it. The winner has to contact me after I get home, because I'll try to remember, but I might not. So I get home. When am I getting home? I think the 26th or 27th. So of September. So, contact me at that time. It's a little weird, I understand, but I'm not anywhere near the ability to get a hold of constitutional. So that's that. And if we get up to super chats, then if we hit 100, I'll give away an ounce of silver. Hey, Pete Clark. Well, one of the things that we wanted to go over, you and I, was to talk about what's going on with British silver. As a lot of you know, I am working on a monster box of British Britannias. I really enjoy it. I'm approximately shy of half of a monster box and working on it little bit by little bit. And for a long time, Queen Elizabeth was the monarch and was on all the coinage, and now King Charles is. And you and I were talking about what do you think is the better buy and why? And I'll just shut my mouth from here.
Yeah, I mean, at the present, the 2023 King Charles is the lowest premium Britannia for a brand new coin, not a secondary market or purchase. So I think it could make sense to, keep buying the kings if you've got some queens. We could be in for a fairly short reign for Charles. And I think you keep way more up to date on what's going on with the royal family than I do.
Okay, that may be so. I just get these notifications on YouTube on my phone if it strikes my interest, and usually the royal family strikes my interest. So I'll look at it. And I saw something on YouTube on my iPhone that said that King Charles was looking into abdicating because of his cancer. So,
wow, that will be a very short reign, won't it?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what do you think would be the situation? Now, granted, most Britannias are not numismatic or even semi-numismatic, but does this throw it into that type of situation if the new effigy starts to be William?
I think there'll definitely be a surge in demand, and probably more so than there was for the 2023 Queen Britannias, because as you probably remember, last year we had the 2023 Queen and King, which is very, very unusual for the same year to have two different monarchs. The Queen sort of pushed in because they minted They minted the 2023s early. They wanted to be first to the market to beat the other sovereign coins and capture some market share. And then the Queen died. And so for what I remember, there was a long deliberation of many weeks where they were deciding whether to recall all of the 2023s that hadn't left the wholesalers or to let them go. And in the end, they decided to sell them.
Well,
So, yeah, there could be even greater demand being potentially only 2023s and 2024s, 2 years available with the king on.
Amy says, is King Charles not in remission? I don't know about the remission part, Amy. All I know is what I saw on my phone, where he was planning on abdicating the throne, which is really atypical because he's wanted to be king for a long time, sitting in his mother's shadows.
I don't know. I heard differently. I heard that he never really wanted to be king.
Really?
Yeah. He saw it as an onerous, and restrictive on, which it is, very restrictive on what you can and cannot do and where you have to be for a large part of your life. It's a pre-written diary, isn't it, of events. I heard he was reluctantly becoming king, but
okay.
I mean, would you take the job?
Well, I don't know. I kind of think probably I would, but then again, you got to keep in mind I'm one of those crazy people who thinks in terms of duty.
Right.
I served in the U.S. Army, Granite Guard and Reserves, but they didn't offer me a full-time scholarship, so I didn't go full-time. But I did go part-time, and I stayed much longer than what I needed to. Really enjoyed it, miss it, to be quite honest with you. And with medicine, it's kind of the same way. Medicine's kind of interesting because a lot of people come to the emergency room, or even when I did family medicine there, with their ideas of what they think things should be like, and they're not normal. Their imagination of what healthcare should be like is certainly from some other planet. That they irritate the crap out of me, but on the other side of the coin, I can never break myself free from the concept that patients come first. No matter how much they irritate me, I always want to put the patient first. Hey, T-Bird. So basically, I wanted to point that out. So if I was in the line, I probably would take it and try to make it my own with the concept of service first. How about you? Would you take the job?
Absolutely not. No. No. For all of the perceived luxury, it's hard work. You especially look at how the Queen's schedule was, even into her 80s. She was working many more hours per week than most people do.
Yeah. Most people are retired if they're still alive at that age, but some still are going.
Yeah.
Granted, we can always look toward our illustrious leader, Dementia Joe, and how he's still serving our government. And then you got on the opposing side of the fence, Trump, who's got more faculties when he wants to get back into office, and really we can go down that road if you want. But I was really leaning towards who would take the office from your question and who wouldn't, and who would want to work at such a advanced age. Some people just love it, and I love what I do for a living. But honestly, I think I probably will die as a doctor, as a participating doctor. Not only because I enjoy what I do for a living, but also because as a younger man, I drank the government's Kool-Aid. Believing everything will be fine. Just trust the government. You don't really need to save anything. Just buy, spend, spend, spend. And 3 years ago, I woke up and realized how much of an idiot I was. So I'll probably die seeing someone, probably have a heart attack, taking care of someone who has a heart attack. But that's the reasons for it, although I am trying my best to get more home time. So how many people in the chat would want to be king now that we've had this discussion?
Or president.
Put a 1 in the chat if you had the opportunity, you would take the role of king or queen. Put a 2 in the chat if your answer is no.
I think there's sort of a problem with positions like that, whether it's monarch or president. If you want to do it, shouldn't that disqualify you? Did you not? There should be a pool of reluctant candidates. I don't know, because of the human ego and self-interest. Sometimes the truth comes out, sometimes it doesn't. But you look back, most presidents, there's a trail of corruption and disaster and bad decisions and wrong influence. That's just the information that comes out. It just seems to be, if you want that sort of level of attention and perceived power, maybe you've got sociopathic or narcissistic or both tendencies.
Listen, isn't there a phrase that goes something, and I'm probably going to misquote it. Some are born into power, some are thrust into power. I forget how it goes.
I know what you. Yeah. It's so I think that would be a good sign. Well, no, actually, it wasn't a good sign for Nixon, was it? Because Nixon apparently was reluctant. But then, did he do anything half as bad as current or previous presidents have done? Probably not.
No.
Probably was much lower down. I think the tentacles of doing deals, whether it's in Russia or China, it just seems that role is just milked and used for personal and family gain. And I think actually probably the American public actually almost sick of having the position of president. I mean, why do we need a president anyway? Maybe an American could tell me.
I'm kind of wondering that there has to be someone at the head, holding the ship.
I don't know. Maybe a board of directors. I don't know. We just don't seem to get anybody exceptional, do we? Not exceptional talent, exceptional business success. I think President Carter, he was a successful peanut farmer, wasn't he? Not, and I'm not saying that denigrating farmers either. He ran a successful business, never went bankrupt. So maybe he was. I don't know what did the Bushes do, or was it Obama? Was he a lawyer? I think so.
Obama was a lawyer.
Yeah.
We did have an exceptional farmer, as I understand it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. A reluctant president who was a farmer, and he wanted to didn't want to stay in power for a very long time, and this will give you an idea who it is. He did his 2 terms. He thought that was enough. He set the precedent of 2 terms.
Oh, okay. So before that, they could become emperor and stay on permanently.
Well, not so much emperor, because they actually offered to make him king, and he refused it. He didn't want it.
Really? So all these people from Europe had just escaped the punitive, the repression of living under a monarchy in a feudal system, and then they were ready to make another king.
Which sounds really weird, but if you look at the fact that a lot of humans get into a pattern of habit,
Right.
and they can't break the habit.
No, I mean, you look in the Old Testament, the Israelis said, "Give us a king," didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it went. God said, "No, you don't want a king. I'm your king." Excuse me, I'm just taking my boots off. My feet are a bit hot, and that didn't end well. So maybe I don't know. How would we have a better system of minimalist government? Do we actually really need a single person who's easily corrupted?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to go back a little bit into something that I'm involved in. I'm part of a motorcycle organization. We're not a motorcycle club per se, so much as a riding association. And this riding association is made out of Masons. Now, in Masons, it does have a hierarchical type of thing that is kind of like reminiscent of a monarch, but that only lasts long enough for 1 year term, and then the change, because it's more like a president, although they don't use those terms. But in the motorcycle organization, it took a different turn. This organization existed and then fell by the wayside. And then years later, I was interested in being part of the organization and had to go through the political ramifications of getting it started, which was not easy because most people, like I said, they have their habits. They don't like to change their opinions. I had to wait my time. And when the time came that other members were willing to be part of the organization, I didn't have time anymore, because of the job. But when we started up our version of it for West Virginia, we chose not to have president and vice president. It's a board, a board of I think 5 members, maybe 7. I think we're 5, but we're always going to keep it at an odd. But we also have in place that we want unanimous decisions. So if there's a not unanimous decision, we don't go forward. So it's set up in such a way that everyone gets a chance to have their say, no matter if they hold a position or not, if they hold an office or not. But if they're part of the board, then we all work together to try to come up with a unanimous vote of where we're going to go together. The advantage of it is that we're small.
Yeah.
And as I said to someone, I think I said it in one of Yankee's comments in one of his videos, when you get 3 or more people involved in anything, you've got politics. And the more people, the more politics, and the more politics, the more headaches, and so forth and so on. We're a group of, I think, 10 to 15 men. It's a lot easier to work towards a common goal when everyone is like-minded. Now, also in the motorcycle arena, if you wear the title of president, you have a bullseye on your back. People from outside your organization are going to come at you first instead of go through the hierarchy. People who are unhappy within the organization are going to come at you first. And, it's not, hey, Steve, looking for silver, welcome. So Hey, OC Stacker. OC says hi to you too, Ian.
Hi there.
So basically, long story made short, is you wear the title of president, and I would assume if you wear the title of king or queen, you are pretty much going to be the target. So the thing is, what do you want to do? Do you want to rule as a tyrant, or do you want to rule as a servant of your people? No matter what your title is.
I think that's what's been lost, the idea of public service.
Oh, yeah.
I can't say I've seen it in a president in recent history.
I understand. I'm hoping President Trump will show that he is that type of person. It's a little hard because I see the people that have attacked him and over and over and over again. Makes it kind of hard to stay altruistic. But so let's get back to these coins. That's really what I wanted.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So we could go down the political rabbit hole so easily here. Yeah. It's all your fault, Ian. So.
It most definitely is. Yeah.
So if William becomes King William, my interpretation is that the Charles coins are going to go up. Maybe not a lot because they're not really numismatic or semi-numismatic, but I think they're going to go up.
Yeah, I mean, generally premiums push up for general availability. The large online bullion dealers will charge more for a backdated, especially a specified date. You see some of the older maples going for $10, $15 more than the current year. Now, whether that's reflected, we don't necessarily have that sort of pricing policy, because when we buy backdates from the wholesaler, they're usually at a lower premium than the current year. And last year's coin is usually a lower premium than the current year's coin. Apart from the 2023 queens, they did soon become $1 more expensive wholesale, pretty well as soon as the king was released. So we've got both of the effigies here, so we can show people what we're talking about.
Let me bring you up big. There you go. I just love how they are so reflective.
It's a beautiful coin, isn't it, the Britannia? I never really get tired of them. I go in and out of liking the kangaroo and the American eagle, even the Philharmonic and the Krugerrand. But yeah, you can see that they've both got the same Britannia, identical that side.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the detail is incredible, isn't it?
And the security features are really, really top notch.
And to think it's pretty well the king, the 2023 king, is pretty well the lowest premium sovereign coin available at the moment.
And I'm probably going to load up on King Charles for my Britannia box. But
I'm pulling this out to lure you again, because I knew you liked these when you first saw them. This is the earlier Britannia design.
Oh yeah, I want a tube of those.
It's even better, isn't it? I mean, let's
I want a tube of those.
Put them together. There's something about the simplicity of it.
Oh yeah, I need at least a tube of those. They're probably more expensive now that they're older.
Yeah, it's pretty well the same. Actually, no, the Britannia's a different design, isn't it? There's more. Oh, I'm trying to hold them still to compare. I've not really compared the two. And then it's got a shiny edge as well.
Oh yeah.
So
So let me put an order in for a tube plus one because I want one in a capsule to put in my little box so I can look at them. Because once they're in the tube, I don't want to take them out.
So those are 2013s. We got some back dates.
So they more expensive or they're less expensive?
They're more expensive because they came in literally they'd never been opened. So somebody must have sold them back to a wholesaler, and they came in literally pristine, still with the mint seals on the tubes. They had a different sort of lid then, so you could tell whether they'd been opened or not.
Understood. What do those still come in 25s or those the old 20s?
I think those are in 20s. Yeah.
Well, I want to get a tube of 25s because my box is set up for 25s. I see Check Stacker says, I was thinking it had something to do with coronation, but change of reign makes sense. I guess he's answering a question to someone else.
Yeah, because there was the coronation coin as well, wasn't there? With the,
oh, yeah, I got a tube of those too.
We can show people the coronation one and get it the right way up. There we go.
Oh, I don't have that one. I have the one with Charles having it on the head.
That's the coronation coin.
Okay. Well, how does that compare with the one with King? Oh, okay. Well, that's technically not a Britannia. That's just about coronation only.
I guess, yeah. Yeah. It's £2. Coronation comes in the same tube, if that counts.
Well, I'll probably get a round of those too, because I have to have a little bit of a little bit.
It can get a bit compulsive, can't it? Coin collecting.
Oh yes, yes it can.
But if it's low premium, at least you're buying money with currency. So
true. I also found on where did I find that? I think it was SD Bullion. I found a 10-ounce Britannia. I'd been looking for one for a long time, never could find one. And then I found it, and I jumped on that as fast as I could. I like those chunky monkeys.
yeah, there's something about the 10-ounce coins, isn't there?
Yes, there are. 10-ounce anything.
And the kilos. I mean, the kilo koalas and the kilo kookaburras, one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of kilo bars, or I promised myself I'd stick with 10s.
No, these are coins I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the kilo.
that's what I'm saying. When I saw what this, it was a kilo. I think it might have been a kookaburra, and I'm not a big fan of kookaburras, but a coin that was that chunky, I snatched one. Just couldn't help myself. So, but no, I love those things. Totally. In fact, once I get a chance to pay you for what I have from you, I want to get one of those coronation tubes with one extra, and the old Britannias with one extra, so I can enjoy having those in my box. I'll just put them in the same Britannia box. Silver, and
It is.
Amy says, I like the bird kookaburra. I've got a few kookaburras, but they're just not the biggest thing for me. But I saw them as a 5-ounce and a 10-ounce and a kilo, and the chunky ones, I went for them. They're beautiful.
Yeah, we sold, I think it was a kookaburra, kilo kookaburra to Rob McEwen of the Rob McEwen mining fame. He has one on his desk that we sold him.
Those are really, really pretty. I have a really, really pretty. In fact, when I get back home, I'm looking forward to that kilo one. I can't wait to show everyone on the video. And then, speaking of the king and the coins and all that, Sovereigns. I bought one day. I don't know if it was from you or from someone else. I had a chance to buy an old sovereign with young Queen Elizabeth with Skinny Lizzie, and then one with Charles on it. Although the Charles one looked more coppery in color than the one with Liz.
It is really strange, isn't it? It's the same percentage. You find the same with Krugerrands. Some just look a lot more coppery than others.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the scientific reason for that is.
So there's no additional. Brown Sugar says hi to both of us. Hi, Brown Sugar. But there is no copper, more different composite.
No, it's the same ratio.
Maybe they're using food coloring. So, what are you guys looking for in the chat? If you're into Britannias, put a 1 and put in there what type of Britannia you're into. Old Elizabeth, new King Charles, the ones with King Charles with the crown, without the crown. You're waiting for William to take over. Let's see what you all are looking for. And if you are looking for anything, call this man. He gives you better prices than a lot of other people.
We try very hard. Another reason I really like the Britannia is, as a Brit, when I've got them in England, they're tax exempt. So
True.
Whether they'll keep that law in place when silver's $300 an ounce, I hope so. And then I will sell off my stash that is in England and use that to maybe buy a house.
Okay. That's one of my goals. When SHTF hits and, the value of my house is based upon the older value of money before it devalued even further, just sell a hunk of silver or gold, pay off the house, maybe the cars. But that's, I got to build up that stash to be able to do that. I can take out a chunk of what I owe in those debts. But, my ultimate goal is to have enough for when SHTF hits and we got what looks like hyperinflation, cash it in, own the house outright so they can't take it from me, and then and still have enough for 1 to 2 years worth of survivability in a bad situation. How about yourself?
Well, when you say when it hits the fan, do you mean a temporary banking international worldwide crisis that gets resolved by the introduction of digital currency, or do you mean a breakdown in civilization as we know it?
Both, because when the digital currency comes on, we don't know what the ramifications going to be.
Yes, we do. The average guy gets poorer.
Well, yeah, but
that's
after
correct.
That,
we know that it gives, on the surface, it gives government more power, but in reality, it gives the people who control the government more power.
There's a lot of truth there, because
I mean, you remember the Montague Norman speech where Montague Norman talks about using leading financiers, using the law under the strong arm of the government. So it's leading financiers first, then the legal system, and then government. That's the order of power. I don't think that's changed.
I think you're entirely truthful.
So when we go fully digital, all it will do will lead to a gradual further impoverishment and towards the you'll own nothing and be happy.
Oh, so very true.
Yeah. So best to get something now that is private. It's like, and you can pretend to have nothing and be happy.
Well, that's so very true. And
so I don't think and this is contrarian to a lot of the precious metals community, a lot of the other metals dealers even. I don't think we're going to get a societal collapse. We're just going to get a gradual more financial control by the banking system, a gradual further extraction of wealth, and then maybe a collapse. But I think we're 5 to 15 years away from that.
Oh, wow. Hello, Yankee. I just saw you in the chat. Welcome. Yankee did a video just recently where he was talking to his local coin shop dealer, Tim Marshner, and they brought up the whole Dave Ramsey, the guy who hates on silver and gold.
I know. What's that all about? Because he's not mentally damaged, is he? He's not.
No, he's not. Except about this, and honestly,
yeah.
My take on it is that he does that to drive up his ratings and his views, and also I think that he does that because he's a financial advisor, and if your advisor tells you to go buy gold and silver, they're not going to make any money on you.
No, there's no more management, no more fees on that portion. No, this is true.
He says, go ahead and put your money into a mutual fund. It's like, yeah, right, Yankee. Yeah, Dave who, question marks. But the way it was explained to me by so many different people is Dave Ramsey gives great advice to people who are in credit card debt and all that type of stuff, and that's where his strength is, and he should stay in that niche.
Right.
Honestly.
But if he stays in that niche, he's only got poor people to advise, hasn't he?
Well, not only that, but people are in, no matter what niche you're in, the beginning people, the newbies, are going to drive a lot of a YouTube channel. And if you do videos for newbies, it's great for the newbies. They want to stay because you're teaching them. And then, when you're established, it's always great to go back to the basics. So beginning videos are wonderful. I plan to do some of them. I've done one pretty decent one. I want to do some more. But I always have so many videos in my head trying to get out. But basically, if you do the basics, there's a lot of videos. You're going to get a lot of newbies who like you and who will stay. And the established ones really love the basics because, let's face it, when a football team, a basketball team, whatever, is messing up, the coach always brings them back to the basics. So stacking, in my opinion, is the same thing. Yankee says here, Dave's helped a lot of people get out of debt and learn good fiscal discipline, microeconomics. His investment advice is extremely dated, and his macroeconomics is pathetic. I can see that.
Yeah, it is a balance, isn't it? I mean, you got the opposite end of the spectrum, Robert Kiyosaki, saying borrow as much as you possibly can and buy real estate on debt, and then let that debt get devalued by currency debasement. So you got, for the smaller individual that followed his plan, they'd be in terrible trouble now. If they'd bought commercial real estate on huge leverage 2-3 years ago, they're now in a whole world of pain.
Well,
so it is a balance, and it's a balance on circumstances and one's personal skills and understanding. I mean, I've bought real estate over the period of, oh my gosh, since I was 18 years old. And I've always done that on debt, mortgage.
Yeah.
And overall, that's worked out really well. But I am now 59 this year. So that's over, oh my gosh, 40 years I've been buying real estate using debt. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody to go get an investment property on debt. You know, a lot of things can happen that can cause you to get margin called. You know, if you're relying on the income from the property to pay the loan, and for some reason your property's not rented, now you're in, you know, now you've got to find that to keep servicing the debt. So it is a balance, but to write off debt, all debt is not bad, and to write off stacking money using overvalued currency, to me, suggests that you do not understand that inflation is the abnormal increase in the money supply. And it doesn't matter who wins the next election, we are going to carry on abnormally increasing the money supply and debasing the dollar. That is baked into the cake until it collapses, because the other option is to stop now, don't raise the debt ceiling, start paying down debt, and cause a deflationary death spiral.
I understand.
Or delay it by keep inflating until the currency just collapses anyway, and then you have an even bigger deflationary death spiral. No one in politics has got the nerve or the understanding or the character to say enough is enough. We're balancing the budget, not 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, 100 years time, but next month, next six months. No one has got the acumen, the intelligence, or the character to do that. And it's not going to happen. So I don't think Dave Ramsey understands how bad this debasement is and how often the effect is delayed. So you can be the good little citizen and play by the rules and end up destitute in your 70s and 80s because what you've paid into can never pay out enough for you to live on. And Alan Greenspan said as much, didn't he? He said the US government will always be able to send out the checks, but they won't be able to guarantee what they'll pay, what they'll buy.
That's true.
You know, so it's hidden in plain sight. They're laughing at us. Of course the dollar is not going to protect you in your retirement. If every instrument you've got pays out in dollars.
Oh yeah.
So for somebody of his supposed intelligence to sneer precious metals is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, I agree. We'll get to that question here in a second, Yankee. Well, you mentioned that the devaluing another is baked into the cake.
Yep.
And I kind of see that, but kind of not. And here's why. The phrase baked into the cake means that our current society is, won't change. But if you look at the bigger picture, over 4,800 currencies have devalued and gone the way of the dinosaur in 6,000 years.
Yeah.
So I honestly see this as a sin of man. He
absolutely.
He cannot help himself other than to destroy it.
Yeah. Rafi Farber gave an excellent exposition on a passage in Genesis 2 where it talks about the rivers flowing from the Garden of Eden, and one of them is the river Pishon, and it flows around the land of Havlim, and in the land of Havlim there is gold, and the gold is good. And I wish I could find his program, but he said the actual proper translation is use this to trade with fairly, or words to very that we if you believe God created us, and I do, we're supposed to use sound money so it stops cheating, it stops theft, it stops the extortion, it stops bankers, the greed in the banking system now, taking 3% of every card transaction. Can you imagine how that amounts up as that currency goes round and round? from consumer to retailer, from retailer to wholesaler, wholesaler to manufacturer, and back round again. How many times those dollars move in a year, and the bank is skimming off 3% every time?
And it's going to get worse.
Yeah,
until
it breaks. Until it breaks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a continuation over and over again of Gresham's law until Thiel's law takes over.
Yeah.
A lot of people know Gresham's law. Maybe a few less people know about Thiel's law, which is basically good money takes over bad money when bad money is so bad no one wants it.
Yeah.
Yankee asked, he missed the answer to the question. Which is the better Britannia?
Oh, the silver one. I think at the moment the king, and again it's the lowest price. We still have access to the 2023s. We have one wholesaler who bought too many, so it's at the moment it's the lowest premium coin that we've got. Apart from we do have some St. Helena guineas, a much lower premium, but that's a limited supply on those.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the lowest. The 2023 King Charles is the lowest premium sovereign coin.
Well, as I had said, I think that the Charleses are going to be considered more valuable if he abdicates it in an early time frame.
And all you've got to do. Interesting, he hasn't got a crown on, has he? Do you know what?
Well, there's only a limited run with the ones with the crown.
He's got no crown on it. Where's his crown gone?
Well, there is a list of them that was coronated. I have a tube of them, plus an extra one for a capsule.
Yeah. I wonder I should pay more notice to this. I never really thought maybe the male sovereign doesn't wear. There's a 24, so no crown on the 24 or the 23.
I think I saw somewhere that the kings typically aren't wearing their crowns, or the queens typically are wearing their crowns.
I know why it is, Tiger. They had to work. They had to work. Can you see how hard they worked to get his nose and his ear? He didn't have room for the crown. I can't talk. I've got a big nose and big ears. I can't talk.
So he's
it would have messed up squeezing the ear and the nose in. Yeah.
So you're telling me that the coinage is rigged? Don't tell Yankee it's rigged. He'll want a whole bunch of them for himself.
Well, at least there's no chips in these, is there? They got that rim is continuous.
Uh-huh.
See? I've turned that all the way around. There's no microchips in there, so or diamond dust or whatever it is.
Did you see my video on how to deactivate them?
I did, yeah.
Well, they get deactivated in 30 seconds of whiskey made in the United Kingdom.
And do you know how long I have to spend soaking them in front of clients who come in the store? They want them guaranteed chip disabled. Whiskey that's costing me.
Are you pulling my leg? Are you serious?
It's interesting that everybody asks the question: are they chipped? Are they tracked? Yeah, it has gone, and yeah, you've played a small part in that, but interestingly, they're still the most popular bullion coin, isn't it? The American Eagle, for some reason.
Yeah, I've always found that interesting. It's a nice coin. It's a very nice coin, but it's not as nice as others. I like the Britannia's style better. I like their security feature way better. Definitely way better. And I like the Maples style better. I like the Maple security feature better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do you want to zoom in on a security feature on the Britannia?
oh yeah.
Do you want to zoom in on the actual little laser cut?
How do I zoom? You're already big.
Oh, okay. Let me hold it a little bit closer then. Can you? There we go. It turns from a trident to a padlock, whichever way the light catches it. Is that
Well,
showing up there?
isn't the waves also part of the security feature? Because those things got to be hard to reproduce.
You're going to need some expensive equipment to make that die for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Now
there's no tax advantage, is there, for holding a bullion American Silver Eagle? It's still classed as collectors. I think it comes under the collectors 28% tax on the declared gain.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I looked up. There's no tax advantage to holding American Silver Eagle.
I really don't. I can tell you that in West Virginia, there is 2 bills on the floor, one of which is to get the West Virginia treasurer to be able to store gold and silver as wealth for the state. But
Right.
The other one is to recognize gold and silver as currency. And that particular bill labels the gold and silver as minted by the United States government, to which when I talked to Delegate Chris Pritt, he included that in there just to try to get it to pass on the floor, maybe to then go to the governor for signature. And I said, we can always address more things later, but trying to get things passed in legislature is difficult on a good day. So
it's a shame, really, isn't it? Because the U.S. Mint just put their price up. The wholesalers, just for transparency, I'll tell everybody who's watching how it works. So the U.S. Mint charges $3.05 for an American Silver Eagle out of the door to the wholesalers who are signed up for the bullion program. And from what I understand, there is no real barrier to becoming that. You just have to commit to purchase 25,000 coins a year. And if you miss that, you will not be on the program next year. And then the wholesalers typically put on 25 cents. So they'll sell on a American Silver Eagles for $3.30 in bulk. And then everybody else can see what price that you can look up what dealers are adding. So the cost from a wholesaler is $3.30 for an American Silver Eagle.
Yeah. Well, if they do pass that in West Virginia, and I'm not sure it's going to pass very easily, because Delegate Chris Pritt, he didn't get, he only wanted 2 terms as delegate, and he's serving his second term. He wanted to get in as senator for West Virginia, didn't win it, although I think he's planning on running again. And he's pretty well liked, so he probably will win. And then he's going to keep those bills on the floor in the Senate of West Virginia. Little side note, Niels Hahn Dynasty says H.R. Bill 8421 is a bill in Congress that abolishes the Fed. Call your congressman and tell him to vote yes on it. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they have the government, the politicians and the bureaucrats by the kahoonies.
I would agree with that. Yeah, the Fed is not going to get dissolved. Or should I say, the owners of the Fed are too powerful.
Oh yeah, and they've just been getting powerful ever since my dad, when I was a teenager, would say this over and over and over again: the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And being a young man who was drinking all the Kool-Aid that the government was putting out, didn't agree with my dad. I just thought he was just upset because he didn't make bigger money. But when I looked over my life and saw things in patterns, I'm really good at seeing patterns. And I did a video on it called Worsening Trends Exposed. It's one of my younger videos, early videos. I've noticed that how things were constantly getting worse. Even silliest millionaire Bruce Wayne during the Adam West years to now billionaire Bruce Wayne, not much after that. The expectation monetarily, directly or indirectly, is staring us right in the face, and all you got to do is pay attention to the patterns.
Yeah.
And not everyone can do that.
No, and it does take a certain contrarian personality to question the status quo, for sure. I remember clearly talking to my dad. I could have only been 10 years old, asking him why gold is worth what it's worth. And he'd fallen for the lie that was put out then, that it was the greater fool principle, that you would sell it to somebody else who's more foolish than you and pay you more for it. And it was like, yeah, but now, I really need to give him a call and say, but Dad, when I was talking to you about gold, it was 14 pounds sterling an ounce. Now it's nearly 2,000 pounds. It's like, who's the greater fool? Would I have been foolish to buy a few ounces of gold when it was 14 pounds an ounce? It's like, no, that would have been a very, very sensible decision, back tested, wouldn't it? And sort of circling back to Dave Ramsey, not understanding precious metals, we are at that point now where in the pound sterling, it's a 130 times devaluation of the pound. So that's 13,200%. But the pound that's left is still the pound in somebody's pocket, or the pound they're earning. That can lose that amount again and practically go to zero in a much shorter time than 50 years. Much shorter time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I think the inflation and all that hit England a lot harder than it hit us, because we have the world reserve currency status.
And not just that, we're energy sufficient, we're energy exporters, we're food exporters. America has the best farmland in the world. It has a very vigorous population, mainly due to immigration. It has a very healthy, demographics. You add all of those, there's not a major country that compares with all of those resources.
Okay, I can give you that. For us to maintain that,
and still the dollar has lost. It's only got 1/70th of its purchasing power left since 1970.
Well, I believe that
1/70th. Yeah.
Even much less compared to 1913 at the beginning of the Fed.
Yeah.
But
there was a distortion. There was a distortion there where gold was seriously subdued and kept at $35 for that 1934 to 19. When did they pass the temporarily suspend the exchangeability? Was that 71? When Nixon announced.
Yeah, that was 71.
Yeah. So in that 34 to 71, gold was pegged at $35. So it was held down artificially severely. So, that's a big distortion over time.
Oh, yeah.
And that cost, I think the figures were it cost the US 14,000 tons of gold was surrendered for dollars that foreign countries were bringing to America and claiming their gold. And that's the reason they stopped. They could see that very, very quickly there would have been zero gold left. So they would have had to come off the exchangeability anyway. But it is incredible, isn't it, how they managed to patch everything together and keep the world's faith in fiat currencies. And I think, knowingly or unknowingly, Dave Ramsey's part of it, isn't he? For somebody of that reach and who has that respect and following, and has helped many people to not even consider or even look at the history that precious metals always give an absolute and thorough accounting of currency debasement, because, as you said earlier, Tiger, all fiat currencies revert to their fundamental value, which is
zero. Are you still there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's why even tigers in the zoo have worked it out, haven't they?
Oh,
You know?
yes, I believe it's stacking everything: gold, silver, antelope, wildebeest. You got to eat something. You can't eat gold and silver. Antelope is pretty damn tasty. So
doesn't have the same shelf life though as silver.
Well, that's why you got to eat it fast. So, and then go get yourself another one. But no, honestly, I've noticed this all over, because when you mentioned Dave Ramsey and he says, just go get yourself a good mutual fund.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was one of the most unlucky people on the planet, because my mutual funds would do good and they'd crash, and they'd do good and they'd crash. And I got so fed up with it that I just stopped watching it.
Yeah.
For a long time, I completely forgot I had it. And then one day, the mail caught up with me, and basically, I went ahead and opened this envelope, saw my retirement. I was like, holy smokes, it's basically the same amount as when I looked at it 20 years ago.
Oh my. So it's only got about a third of its purchasing power left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I then called up Makara Majoud, who, Yankee promotes on his channel, and he's a good egg. He knows what he's doing. A very good man. And he got me into the gold and silver IRA over at the Delaware Depository. And when I left my next employer, I took that money and threw it into silver. So I got over there, mostly. I'm going to stay away from my honey, Tiger. You're confusing me with Winnie the Pooh. And my cousin Tigger, who I'm still angry with because he won't teach me how to bounce on his tail. He says that's copyrighted by Disney. So anyway, if I want your honey, I'm going to get it anyway. So, but all joking aside, I've watched in my younger days the percentage that was being offered on CDs go less and less and less, to a point where a CD percentage was no different than a savings account percentage.
Yeah, except you're trapped. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I kept thinking, why am I having such bad luck? Never dawned on me that it was a systematic breakdown at that time. I was still drinking the government Kool-Aid, thinking, okay, the only way I'm going to make it in this world is to work harder and work harder and work harder and work harder. And when I run into people say, work smarter, not harder, I'm like, how in the world do you do that? And evaded my understanding. It's designed It's in, like you said, it's baked in the cake.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick's Coins, how are you, honey? Welcome on board. So basically, it's baked into the cake. You want to be able to maintain what you got. Go work more and 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 become a slave to the man.
Well, that is a vicious circle, because then you haven't got headspace to stop and think, how can I work smarter?
That's true.
The entrapment of forever purchasing and purchasing on debt. It's a hamster wheel, isn't it? That they're very. I think the elites are very happy that a lot of people have fallen into that, or been pushed into that, or circumstances have prescribed that.
Oh yeah, and Frosty says meaning me. You work with Frosty on IT, and he makes you work smarter. There's some truth with that. It's a joke, but it's also truthful. I mean, you should see how hard I worked on YouTube in the beginning. My goodness, I stumbled over everything. And one day I saw Frosty was offering to help people who were wanting to, and I reached out to him, and he helped me, and that began the beginning of a very nice friendship, which, one of my videos that's coming out is going to mention, how much I really, really appreciate Frostbite for all the help that he's given me and asks for nothing in return. He reminds me of my dad. But that video is going to talk about that and my dad. I really, really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate him.
You can send him some tiger poo that keeps rats and mice away. It's very valuable stuff. Tiger poo.
Back to me. He'll probably send it back to me on a slow boat, because he's he'll probably send it back on a slow boat so it can get to me nice and fermented. Oh my goodness. But no, working harder is what I was taught.
And there is a balance. There really is a balance. I mean, obviously some people, I worked in construction nearly 40 years, and if you're the only person producing, if you work harder, you can earn more. So, but there is a point, isn't there? Especially as somebody gets older, and that's the whole point, supposedly, of the pension system. And now we do have people who want to be elected to govern this country, who are talking about people should work till they're 70, 75. They shouldn't expect a pension at 60, 65. And I think people who say that have no understanding what it's like to have been a steel worker or a construction worker. Well, your body is probably worn out after 40 years of doing the same task.
Oh yeah, the same with mine. And even though I'm not a physical worker, my job is definitely more mental. There was a time when I got married to my current wife. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady, beautiful inside and out, fantastic lady. Love her to death. And I was so honored to have her as a wife. So one day she looked at me and says, "What are you doing?" So what do you mean? She says, "You are maintaining 3 employers, and this month 4. I said, "Because I wanted to prove to you that I'm worthy of you." But now, at my age, I'm working for one employer who has the ability to send me to loads of different hospitals. And I'm like, no more. No more. No more. And he wants me to go to this other hospital because one doctor got himself discontinued, and they're going through the rigmarole of, getting me credentialed, trying to get it through to go through quickly. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. Well, you need to be there for the computer this and computer that. Why is it my responsibility to take on more stress because this guy got canned? And a miracle happened. The hospital that I am supposed to be at is not processing my credentials quickly. Okay. And, normally I would see that as an insult, but I'm really tickled because they gave me back the shifts at the current hospital I'm at. I don't have to drive 6 to 7 hours to go to the next place. I get to stay where I want to stay, and all that type of thing. Thank you, Lisa, for throwing up Dog World and you. She's putting out new videos. She's trying to do a little bit more raw and a little less AI. So if you want to see what it takes to get a good dog, whether you want a pet or a service dog or a protection dog or a alarm dog, or you just want a cuddle buddy, she is the lady to go to. In fact, I'm talking her into doing another Ask Mrs. Tiger as a live stream, so you all can hop on board, bring your questions, and ask Mrs. Tiger all your doggy questions. And a little side note, our Belgian Malinois is pregnant. She just confirmed it today. She's pregnant, and we're going to introduce you to the mother and the father and to her breeding program and how she takes care of mommy and babies. So that's all coming up. So be prepared to be completely entertained by puppies and her intelligence. So thank you again, Lisa. See here, side note, don't get a tiger for a pet. It depends on if you feed them or not, John Jacobs. If you feed them, it's a problem. If you don't feed them, if you don't feed them, more than a problem. If you feed them, am I pregnant? Yeah, Nick, I've been waiting for 30 years for someone to do a C-section on me, and no one wants to do it. They keep laughing at me every time I ask for a C-section. Can't figure out why. Sorry, little side note there. But no, where were we at, Ian? I got off on a tangent.
Well, we're back to Britannias, I guess.
Yes, always back to the Britannias. Love the Britannias. I want to come over and hang out at your house and learn how to talk like you. We're going to have speech classes for Tiger. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it, girlfriend. Haha, Tiger. Maybe it's called lipo. LOL. I think Nick don't like me anymore. So, no, I love the Britannias. In fact, like I said, I think I'm going to expand my horizon on my box. I want 25 of the old shiny ones, plus one more for a capsule. Thanks, John Jacobs. Love you too, Nick. Ian, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, you froze on me for a moment. I didn't hear anything from you.
I was just sipping some more tea.
So save me out a 25 tube of the old shiny Britannias plus one for the capsule.
Okay.
The coins that have the coronation, they're technically not Britannias, but I'll put them in the box anyway.
Yeah, I'll have to see if we got any more of those.
Yeah, I want to get 26, 25 in the tube, one in the capsule. And yeah, that's the way I usually like to do it. If it's pretty enough to keep, I stack it I have one outside for me to look at, so I don't have to break open the boxes and the tubes because I'm a little clumsy. So
I usually suggest to people who buy a monster box, always buy 501, just so you can keep that box strapped up.
it works. I know I can't afford to buy a monster box. I can afford to earn a monster box over time. I got a monster box of generic silver. I got a monster box of American Silver Eagles, but that was over a 3-year period of buying and being persistent. But no, I want to get to my monster box of Britannias. I'm sorry, Nick and Frosty have this thing where he couldn't see Nick in the past, and now she's teasing him. So what does? Okay, my wife one time not long ago talked to me about. She wanted me to consider going into having my own coin shop, to which I told her that I would need buku capital just to be able to do that.
It's not so much. Well, the greatest need for capital is to pay all your expenses whilst you build the business up. It's a long journey, and most retail businesses are. Most fail within the first year because people expect to be able to draw a wage or make a good living. So it would depend a lot on the area and your community around you. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of the viewers can chip in. Is it often do you see a new coin shop start up, or is it more often you see one shut down? From talking to the vice president of the largest wholesaler in the US, and in the world, he was telling me he thinks a lot of the older coin shop owners will retire. If they could retire, they would retire, because the industry is so tough on a retail level at the moment. So yeah, we could well see a reduction in the number of coin shops. So there may be an opportunity in your area, Tiger. But I wouldn't count on it to provide a good income to start with.
No, I wouldn't think. I would think it'd be one of those things that you do for a long period of time and take your profit and reinvest it to build the business.
Absolutely. If you make a profit. Yeah.
That would mean I'd have to work harder as a doctor and invest that money into the products, and when those are sold, invest money back in to buy more products.
But the upside, I think, maybe it's a year away, maybe it's 6 months away. I think there's going to be a rush of human action as people really wake up to but it doesn't matter who the government is, the debasement carries on, and although some goods and services might appear to not be going up or even fall back, I think I can safely predict that precious metals will carry on giving an accounting of the actual currency debasement. So we have a very mixed picture, with deglobalization, that's an upward pressure on prices. The wars going on, some of those are an upward pressure on prices. But then we also have deflationary pressures. I mean, it looks like China is entering into a major depression, which will drive down the price of oil. And we may think it would be great to have $1.80 gasoline in America again, but that would mean oil would be back to $20 a barrel, which would mean most American producers couldn't make a profit at $20 a barrel, which would mean there would be a reduction in oil production in the States, which would mean there'd be less gas, because that's a byproduct of a lot of oil production, which would mean more expensive electricity costs, because a lot of our electricity is produced from the gas that's created from oil production.
Yes.
We have to be careful what we wish for, because a dramatic cut in the world oil price will hurt the American economy, because the American producers will not be making profits.
There's a lot of truth with that.
So but I do think more people will wake up, and knowing how thin the supply of silver is, there's not a lot to go around. If just 1 or 2% of the people started buying a few ounces a week, then you would be very successful if you opened up a coin shop, because the demand will just skyrocket.
Well, I started off buying a little bit, and I told this story many times. For a long time, my gold and silver fit into one Ziploc baggie, and then eventually I got into 2 Ziploc baggies, and eventually got into 3 Ziploc baggies. And even if I was having less financial abilities, because at one time I had a really crummy payer, I was still buying, but I was buying less. My fear of SHTF is strong. My fear of someone saying you have to pay up on your house or get kicked out is strong.
It won't be so much that. I think what will happen with mortgages, as we carry on the currency debasement, there will potentially be a point where the banks are holding, or the government that's backing a lot of the mortgages that are at a low rate, will reset the interest rate or reset the principal owing to reflect the currency debasement. I think that's the biggest risk, and I fought that for many years. And one reason to stack, instead of paying your mortgage off, in effect, you are building up the ability to pay your mortgage off, but in an asset that is private, that is scarce, becoming more scarce, and has very, very many upsides to it. So, in order to just bring Dave Ramsey back in, he would say that is irresponsible to buy silver instead of paying your mortgage off. It's like, I disagree. If you've got a 2.1 or 3% or whatever, even a 4% mortgage, have a look at the math and do what you're comfortable. But it might make more sense, rather than paying a chunk off your mortgage, to park that temporarily in silver with the intention of using that to pay off the principal on your mortgage. So as a strategy, and I hear what you're saying about being scared about it hitting the fan. I can confidently, I'm saying confidently, America is not going to get a breakdown in law and order. It's going to happen in city centre, is happening in a lot of dense urban areas, has been for decades. We're not going to see a nationwide societal breakdown. That serves no interest to the financial elites who are the parasites who feed on us. Serves them no way at all. So they will not push it too hard, this extraction of wealth, to cause the system to break down. It will break down eventually when we get to, as Ludwig von Mises said, you can either have the crash now by stopping inflating the currency, or you can keep inflating it and it will end up in a catastrophic collapse. That collapse is coming, and that's the point where there could be a breakdown in society. But that point is a way off yet in America.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. See,
it really is a way off. As hard as it is for a lot of people in America, there's too many things in favor of America. I mentioned before, the best farmland in the world, healthy demographics, net energy exporter, food exporter. So that means we're over sufficient in food and energy. And if you think about it, what should a government's role be doing? It should be helping to assist, I think, that everybody is fed and housed. and kept warm in the winter. Or
Well,
cool.
you also forgot one of the other features that we have. Okay, let me go back to, because I love your country. You know that. And when I watch all these old things about the past, whether it's fictional, like King Arthur, or if it's real about the past history of what happened, you have all of these castles.
Yeah.
Okay, and they either are on the top of a mountain that's hard to get to, or they have a moat around it.
Yeah.
Okay. We here in America have two moats, the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
And that gives us a natural protection that makes another layer of difficulty for someone to get at us. It's easier now because of nuclear submarines and all that, and because of satellites, and because of aerospace technology, but it's still not as easy as walking across the border. So, we still have that going in our advantage to some degree. So, but we do have natural resources, like you mentioned.
Yeah, we're not going to get invaded by a physical army all at once. I mean, there is, to a certain degree, an invasion by illegal immigration, and that has good and bad effects. It's not all bad. It's not bad for the corporations who benefit from suppressed wages. It's not bad for farmers who would probably have to pay $50 or $60 an hour to get young Americans to work on the farms, or maybe even more. So it's not bad for a lot of businesses. So some people would argue that it's a semi-silent invasion happening, not knowing who's coming into the country, and that definitely needs to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that should be done humanely, so you don't catch up people. I can give an example. In Jackson, there was a local business that had a guy working for them for 27 years. He kept his head down, he worked hard, brought a family up, and then he did something stupid and he got iced. Not killed, but ICE turned up and deported him. Now, was that him working for 27 years, working hard, making a lot of money for the business he worked for? Who was the beneficiary? So a lot of the immigration has actually kept a more vital workforce. A lot of the immigrants have a better work ethics than second, third, fourth, fifth, or however many generations we are of so-called Americans. So the whole immigration thing is not as simple and polarized as some people would like to make it.
Yeah, I want to comment on that before we go down that road. Didn't catch you earlier, Pete. Clark, welcome to Tiger Club level. I appreciate you joining as a member. Thank you so very much. The other one is welcome, Dog World and you. We've been talking about you and the pregnancy and all that. Dog World and you, $5 super chat. Keep it up. I will, honey. Just have the Viagra ready for me, baby. So, I'm sorry. Can't help this. I can't help it to joke with her. But getting back to what we were talking about, I understand, but I also find it very frustrating, and I mentioned it in one of my recent videos, is that my wife is from Ukraine. I wanted a lady who had my same religion, similar type of background, all that wonderful stuff, and bringing her over here, we went through all the levels of immigration.
I know. I'm a green card holder.
Yes.
I filled out over 1,000 pages of paperwork. I had a medical, and they not so secretly put into that a psychological evaluation as well. They, you could tell the doctor was trying to see, is this guy a Marxist? Is he a communist? it was. I had to have tests to show that I didn't have diseases that are rampant in America. And in fact, America is a major exporter of those diseases worldwide. So yes, I fully understand what you're saying. So to have a whole group of people who seem to bypass that rigor, it's bizarre, and it's unnecessary to. It would not, to have rigor on assessing people who are coming in, knowing who they are, where they come from, and everything, would not actually stop the immigration that we need. So absolutely, I think we need to know who's coming in and who's leaving, for sure.
Wow. I totally agree with you. I totally, absolutely.
But sort of swinging back to me sort of answering, you've mentioned a few times you're concerned about it hitting the fan and a breakdown of civilization. Not yet. The best estimate I got is 5 to 15 years. They will keep, the dollar will carry on as the world currency. It will become less and less of a reserve. And America is retrenching. We are withdrawing. We're going to have less and less interaction with world events, and we will retreat to protecting those who are friendly with us. Australia, South Korea, Japan, New Zealand, Canada, and Mexico. That will be the new practical world trading empire.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's not going to go very well for the countries, most of the countries outside of that. Their currencies will collapse long before the final death throes of the dollar. And this is a confusion not many people speak about or comprehend. We don't need a world reserve currency. People and countries and banks can choose their own reserve, but the only currency that is anywhere near capable of being a world currency is the dollar, by many magnitudes, many orders of magnitude. So it will carry on being the means of transacting.
I'm going to slightly correct you. There is 2 others that could be world reserve currencies, but there historically always have been, and that is gold and silver, especially.
No, well, I'm going to quote George Gammon, and he made a really, really interesting point. He was talking about Mike Maloney's when Mike talks about money. So the definitions of money, let's work through them. So it's universally acceptable, it's portable, it's divisible, it's fungible, it's a store of value. Well, at the moment, gold and silver are the ultimate store of value, but are not as portable, fungible, divisible, and universally accepted. So therefore, gold and silver cannot be money in the full definition. So it depends what you want your money to do. If you want your money to be a means of getting paid and a means of spending that and purchasing something else very, very quickly, you need currency.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong, and this is what a stacker does. If you think about it, how many stackers then say to their employer or their customers, if you've got a business, do you know what? You've got to pay me in silver now. Not many. You keep accepting the dollars and you change them into silver or gold. So the dollar is your currency, and your silver and your gold is the store of value part of money. So it's a hybrid. A stacker naturally has created a hybrid system. And this is what the world is doing. The gold has overtaken the euro as the central bank reserve. So now in order, it's the dollar, gold, the euro. at some point, I think it's likely that gold will overtake the dollar as a reserve. But the dollar will carry on being the world's currency. So we need to keep, I'm convinced that's how it's going to play out.
You might be right. Tell me again, and for me and for everyone else in the chat, where does gold and silver fall short in that criteria? Fungible, stackable,
fungible. So fungible, yeah, gold and particularly silver is very fungible. If they make 30 million of these Britannias, they're all the same.
Okay.
So there's no question one is equal to another. That's the fungible. For divisible, it's not so easy. If I want to spend 28% of that 1 ounce of silver, that's not so easy. Doesn't really work, does it? So it's not divisible. Universally accepted, no, silver's not. You can't go everywhere and buy things with silver. It's not universally accepted. And the convenience of transaction, not so convenient. But store of value, which should be most people's, maybe not when you're young and starting out, but at some point you want to be thinking, if I can work 5 days a week, how many of those days of pay do I want to spend, and how much as a proportion do I want to save for the future? That's the store of value part, storing one's effort, one's ability, or if you're fortunate enough, one's inheritance, to store that for the future where it's not going to be debased, taxed, stolen, you name it. All the things that the governments do to steal from your wealth, earned or unearned, or earned and presumably stored for one's retirement. So absolutely, we are going to see a bifurcation, a hybrid system. So the dollar will be the world's currency, but it will be less and less of a reserve.
Are you thinking because the BRICS nations is going to be always in competition, or for
the
another?
The BRICS nations cannot possibly succeed in having a assets-backed currency unless it's fully redeemable for everybody who has that currency. And then if they do that, they're going to peg. They're either going to have a completely. Can you imagine if your currency moved up and down as much as silver has done in the last year? It was $22 when it was 32. Now it's 28. Now it's 30. It's like that wouldn't work, would it? For a lot of people, wouldn't be able to cope with that volatility. Your paycheck would vary in its value dramatically week to week, month to month. So they can't make it redeemable for the physical product, because that would mean they'd have to peg it. Well, how can they peg it unless the whole world agrees this is what gold is priced at? Mm-hmm. Now, we that got broken, didn't it, when Nixon suspended the exchangeability?
That's true.
Because most other currencies had their peg to the dollar, and the dollar was pegged to gold. So almost every currency, world currency, was fixed to the price of gold. Now gold is floating. So I say there is zero chance, and that's a big statement, zero chance of a BRICS alternative currency succeeding, because all that would happen is people would want the backing, not the name that the China, Russia, India, South Africa, and Brazil. They would want the actual show us the metal, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then they would end up in the same system, but much more rapidly that the US did. We spent 14,000 tons of gold, pegging gold at $35. And it just isn't going to work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you add to that, these governments, they've prospered privately greatly from the currency debasement. Cantillon's law, Richard Cantillon, the people who get the created money out of nowhere first get the benefit of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that
it It always goes to the big boys.
We had that point where BlackRock, and I had an argument with a family member. He didn't believe me. I told him BlackRock can buy real estate and they pay 0.5% on their loans, because BlackRock borrow every day on the overnight, and they could borrow at 0.5%. So they just keep rolling it over. They could borrow almost unlimited amounts of currency and buy real estate. So it didn't matter what price they paid for the real estate, because their carrying cost was lower than the public. And then they would get an rental income on it. Can you imagine how much money you could make if you could get a 0.5% mortgage?
Oh my God! Oh yeah.
I mean, I've actually done it accidentally. I mean, back in the UK, I've got a tracker mortgage, and it's 0.28% over base. So at one point, base was 0, I think, or 0.25%. So I was paying 0.25% or 0.75% interest. So you can make a lot of money on real estate then, because your rental you charge is based on the average of what people would pay to purchase that property. So sort of circling back around, we are not going to see a precious metals or any other commodity backed world currency probably in my lifetime. So the only option as a stacker is to be your own bank.
Oh yeah.
Because if you think about it, every fiat currency that can purchase precious metals is backed by them, but it's floating. It's not a fixed rate. And a government will not tie itself to not be able to inflate for their own selfish reasons to get re-elected, stay in power, or enrich themselves, or all of the above. It's not happening. You can't tell me. I mean, I challenge anybody to tell me that President Xi, President Dictator Putin, whoever is in charge of South Africa, and we're not quite sure who's in charge of Brazil, are we, at any one time, and Modi, the Indian, can you tell me they're going to put the ethics of sound money above their own personal power and enrichment?
No.
I call bullshit to that. These are not saints any more than our politicians are, or bankers are.
And like I said before,
they're not going to mess up a system that does very, very well for them. They're no modern day saints. Anyway, I get a bit of a rant, but I am fed up of people with an audience. I'm not going to name names, who want to scare people into buying precious metal because, ooh, the BRICS is coming, ooh, petro-yuan's coming, ooh, de-dollarization. Don't buy precious metals because you're scared of something. Buy them because you've done the mathematics, done them because you understand history, done them because you understand that all fiat currencies go to 0. Buy them because you know the government steals, cheats and lies, anything but it knows you've got. Buy them for all the logical, sound, mathematical reasons. Do not buy them out of fear. If you're scared, do not buy precious metals. You'll be making the wrong decision at the wrong time.
Well, in my case, I do it for all the reasons you mentioned above. But yeah. I humbly and respectfully disagree, because I think things are going to go down the toilet. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, but they're going to happen. It's biblically it's been called for biblically, to my understanding. And having that is going to be my way to help my family survive through all that. Plus all the other reasons you mentioned,
I could tell you, Tiger, you will be sitting in my backyard. My wife will make the world's best burgers and margaritas in 5 years' time, and there will not have been a breakdown in American civilization.
I pray you're right. I want to be wrong. I pray every day to be wrong.
But it doesn't stop the importance of considering precious metals. It doesn't remove that in the slightest, because my opinion and understanding in history backs it. It's the only way to privately store wealth that is accessible at the moment privately. There's nothing else really. There's so many tins of beans you can buy, isn't it? There's so many boxes of brass and lead you can buy, and there's so many devices for using that you can buy. But there's so many spare car parts you can buy that there's a limit to the physical stuff that you can buy forward for your perceived consumption. Much better to have the private means to buy what you want, when you want, how you want, from whom you want.
I understand where you're coming from. I want to make a comment here. Brian Leisure, you're assuming a great reset and putting silver and gold as your savior. No, Brian, I'm not. No, Jesus is my particular savior, my Lord. Most of us here, but it's also stated that God helps those who help themselves.
That's not actually direct, but it's very inferred in Scripture.
Yeah, the thing is that
and you go back to Joseph, go back to the birth of Jesus. What was Jesus given? Not by 3 wise men. There was probably 20 or 30 magi came to visit. They were the kingmakers of the time. They brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Well, what did Joseph do with that gold?
I have no idea.
Well, that enabled them to flee to Egypt.
Okay.
And survive and prosper, and then come back at the appropriate time. So
that would make
there is a case, and maybe a biblical historian or scholar would override me on this. I would say that at that point, when Jesus was an infant, gold saved his life, because Joseph had the means to go to Egypt.
I can see that.
So
I can see that. I mean,
it's a combination, isn't it? And go back into the Old Testament, the 7 years of feast and 7 years of famine.
Yeah.
So Joseph filled up the storehouses of Egypt with the surplus grain.
Oh yeah.
So this is what we're doing as stackers. We're storing up for the future, when what has been promised to us probably won't be able to perform. As Alan Greenspan said, the government will never be able to guarantee what the checks it sends out will buy.
There's a lot of truth to that.
So if not everyone can buy silver, and less people can buy a lot, it's a privilege, but we're buying it to be able to spend it in the future. And we sort of disagree at the moment. I don't think there's going to be a breakdown of society as a whole in America. But there will be a continuing devaluation of the currency, which eventually could and probably will lead to that. But it's not yet.
Okay. Brian, I'm not assuming a reset will be governed by man. I'm assuming a reset will be attempted, and that will be part of the downplay that is coming with the return of Jesus. Exactly how it plays out, no one really knows.
But in a way, hasn't the reset happened?
Well, I think we're in the process of it.
Isn't it happening?
I think we're in the process.
I think so. I think it's a boil the frog slowly, isn't it? And
honestly, if the way I look at it is, God's going to do things in his own way, in his own time. We don't know. We never will know until after the fact. But if you prepare, prepare your soul, that's the biggest one. But if you prepare with food and with monetary issues and all that, if you prepare, you have a better chance. And in my case, oh my goodness, it's such a hard thing to do. But I'm trying to get my in-laws out of Ukraine and moved into my home. They all have great skills, and I work as a doctor, so I can't be home while I'm saving lives. But And if we all combine our efforts, we could have our own little tiny community in my own home, in my backyard, turning the backyard into a homestead. I'm planning on increasing my non-perishable food supply. I've got plans to tap into water replenishment outside of the system. I also have plans on getting solar to provide power to the house outside of the system. And so, it's I see stacking in a lot of different ways. Not just what I like to call the three precious metals: gold, silver, and lead, but also the water, the food, the but basically ways to, and also stacking souls. If I can get them out of Ukraine, out of direct harm's way, we all work together as a family. And my sister-in-law is allegedly a green thumb. She can turn my backyard into a homestead. We're already raising chickens and rabbits, and that whole thing, and we could all share the work, and therefore share the wealth. Then everything would be absolutely fantastic for everyone. And that's one of the things that I just personally see. I pray, like we talked about, I pray SHTF is never going to come, but I just think that it's going to be part and parcel of what's coming. And I honestly think that we are somewhere in the early to middle stages of the book of Revelations. And I'm not smart enough personally to figure out where and how and what. So I do what I do best. I try to save lives and use the money that I earn to prepare to have enough seeds to grow a garden for the family, to have enough chickens and rabbits to have food, so we don't have to use the food that will last 25 years. That would be my backup. But on top of it, I have to admit that stacking provides me a chance to save monetarily when I've been a horrible saver.
Yeah.
I've been a horrible saver. I've always been, buy the pretty stuff, pretty car, pretty motorcycle, pretty airplane, pretty this, pretty that. What is really a wonderful gift from God is that gold and silver are pretty. I can satisfy that part of my personality and put money away for my family.
Yeah. It is a bonus, isn't it? Particularly silver. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like
so shiny.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I love the shiny. I love the I'll put that back up there. I like that. So, but no, oh my god, I would need a 2+1 of those. And I'll be staring at the one that I have in the capsule for a long time. Thank you, aka Brett. But no, I really am looking forward to that. This is an ongoing joke between Frostbite and me, and it took me a long time to catch on to it. He always plays said, well, I bought these 3 coins. It says, so what, you bought those 2 coins? It says, no, I bought 3. No, you said you bought 2. One of them's for me. So he's in there playing his joke again.
It better be a tube +2, and I'll ship one straight to Frostbite.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Hey, $1 Million Meg, welcome. If you those of you who haven't gone to see people who are in the chat who have their channels, Million Dollar Mig does some really good races. Frostbite is an incredible teacher. Gary's putting out some good stuff on his own channel. I'm going to ask my moderators to take everyone who has a channel and throw them up for people to subscribe to them if you haven't. Nickel Stacking is always putting out some good stuff, although I'm not big into the sports. But feel free to throw them into the chat. And if Million Dollar Meg is putting out content, put her out there too. Sorry, just wanted to put that out there. By the way, for those of you who have not subscribed to my channel, please feel free to do so. I would really appreciate this. I would really appreciate the people subscribing and commenting and being part of our society and being part of the channel. So I just want to let that be known to all of you. There's enough of my rant about everyone getting a fair chance of being recognized by everyone. So no. Someone mentioned, I think it was Gary, that he got his first gram of palladium.
Oh, wow.
So congratulations, Gary. And basically, one of the things I might want to do, because I really love testing everything that's a scientist in me. If you ever get a coin of palladium, I might be willing to buy it simply so I can say I have one that I can put in my Sigma and make sure that part of the machine works. Just a little food for thought, but that's a little digression. So we haven't seen any of the osmium today. You've been hiding it.
I have. I got diverted. I had a busy morning. I think I brought your lovely wife's earrings. Let me have a look.
Oh, okay. I'm going to bring you up, make you big.
I'm hoping I picked up the right box. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. Let me pull one out. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
It's hard to excuse the dirt under my fingernails. I was doing yard work all yesterday.
That'll pull Mrs. Tiger out of lurking if she's lurking.
It's showing the color really well, actually, isn't it? This particular line. Yeah. So yeah, that is a 2mm square in a 14 karat gold mount. Sorry, 4mm square.
I think you're right. The yellow gold makes it pop better than the white gold.
It does depend on your eye and the light, but yes, I think it enhances the blues and the purples.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that.
So yeah,
very beautiful.
It definitely is the sunshine metal. So I must tape that back up with its correct boxes.
That's beautiful. That'll go into her deep stack as fast as it comes out of my hands.
Oh, I hope she's going to wear it and enjoy them.
Oh, she will. She
Good.
will. The big thing is to get her out of the house. She doesn't get out of the house very much. She's always been a homebody, more so with her business.
Does she have 20 dogs at the moment to look after? Or?
I haven't been home in a while, although I've heard that she's had a number of people contact her to train the dogs. She also boards them, and plus the ones that we have. So I know she still wants to. Last I was home, she took in a rescue pit bull, and she's hoping that some family is going to, take and adopt this rescue pit bull. Yeah, he's a good pit bull, very naturally guarding type of dog. I'm not sure if he's still there because I just don't think about him that much. I'm more interested into the girl dogs that pay attention to me. So,
Do you have your own dog?
we have the same. We both claim the dogs that we own, but I'm more drawn to girl dogs. They're more loyal. They're more loving. I think they're mentally more sound.
You haven't met my dogs.
Okay.
We have an Australian Shepherd, Border Collie, Kelpie cross, three
Oh, wow.
extreme farm dogs, and he is the most cuddliest, affectionate, but he's still all dog. He's still, very
Mhm.
protective. But yeah, he loves a snuggle. I think it's because when he was a puppy, I'd sit on the front doorstep and we'd watch the sunrise for a couple of months when I first got him. And he's just used to sitting and being held. So he's incredibly attentive, incredibly smart. And then our other dog is a Bernese mountain dog, and he is a incredibly affectionate dog, very, very loyal, very attentive.
Well, I'm not saying my male dogs aren't. I just think the girl dogs are more.
Okay.
We have a wire-haired Dutch Shepherd male, Sirius Black. Reason we called him Sirius Black is because the wire-haired Dutch Shepherds look like wolves, and kind of looked like Sirius Black when Sirius Black took the dog shape. We have his daughter, who they're both sweet and funny, kind of like natural clowns. Both are very loving. The girl tends to be a little bit more loving, where the dad tends to love a little, play a lot. But I really, when I'm home and exhausted or have a migraine, it's the girl dogs that tend to be wanting to be right next to me, comforting me. So I really, really love the girl dogs just a little bit more. But the boy dogs aren't so bad. I mean, our Black Russian Terrier Pushkin, he's so attached to the wife, and all the boy dogs are so attached to the wife. She's always been that way. With our very first dog, we had him for 10 years before he passed away, and he was always all about her, always all about her, and I loved him for that. We'd play this game. I'd hold him by the collar and have her call him, and he would buck and buck. And his black lab. He'd buck and buck and buck and buck to get away from me so he could get to her, and I would howl hysterically watching him be so loyal to her. So, I don't have anything against the boy dogs. It just, for me personally, I find the girl dogs a little more attentive to me, and I kind of enjoy that. Enough about my rant about dogs. So I can go on forever. But before we do that, I remember when you were kind enough to go on a marathon live stream with me when I needed the hours to avoid losing my potential for monetization. So we're currently at 2 hours and 19 minutes. I'll go as long as you want to, but I don't want to take you longer than you want to.
No, I must get on. I've got a few more invoices to get out. and get some shipping instructions issued.
I understand. So I'll take that as a time for us to close our wonderful adventure about everything we talked about, but especially the topic of the Britannias.
And to conclude, we decided the best Britannia to stack is the silver one.
As I understand, the best one, if you're looking for the best monetary value, is the King Charles 2023.
Lowest premium is the 2023 King Charles. Yeah, we can do those for around $2.40.
Well, if I make buku bucks, I'm going to empty you out as much as I can. But got to get the wife her osmium first.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here in the chat. Most importantly, I want to thank Ian from Ark Silver Gold Osmium. Notice I got it right that time.
You did.
So I really did. I got it right that time. Thank you for the instruction on that. I wish I could stream more regularly, and I'm working on that so that we can all have more fun together. Want to be a little bit more regular. I'm trying to figure out how to do that, the job. But I am very grateful to Ian for agreeing to come up here as a regular invited guest. And he's so full of knowledge.
So full of something, I thought you were going to say.
You said that, I didn't. I wasn't going there. Honestly, you're very intelligent, and you and I agree about like 98% of everything. The few times we disagree, it's so much fun because we do it so respectfully to each other, and I want to thank you for that. So, but no, honestly, I want to thank Ian for being here, for teaching, for his beautiful British accent. And I want to thank all of you for coming and visiting and sharing time with us. And, until it's time to meet again, we'll see you in the next one. Ian and Tiger are out.
All right.